This video, I'm going to be showing you the holographic reality that we live in. I'm going to be using that of chakras and dimensions and understanding how everything is one thing, what we can do about it, and how this realization can change our life. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you that of the holographic reality that we live in, understanding that the all is the one is the all, understanding that reality is virtual. We live in a virtual reality where we are pretending to be these 3D avatar bodies for a period of time. We forget this, but I'm going to be showing you how, in a way, we set up reality itself from different levels of consciousness for it to then be what it is. Because this reality that we live in, I honestly believe that it is a phenomenal time to be alive right now, and just in this reality in general, where we forget who we are so that we can remember, but also able to use our avatar body that perceives reality through the five senses in order to enjoy this experience, to learn different lessons. There's lessons that we learn while here. We learn who we are. Many of us may go through a spiritual awakening. Many of us may go through a lot of pain, which causes pressure for them to us come out of and then realize more of who we really are. We may go through levels of forgiveness of the self, forgiveness of others. These are all different lessons we may learn within the hologram itself. And the holograph, we could say that it's holographic. I prefer thinking about it in terms of it being a virtual reality, because I believe that's a little bit more accurate from what the research that I've done. And when you think of reality as information, it gives us an ability to tap into the truth about what we are picking up on when we're around other people. We pick up on subtle cues, we pick up on energy fields, we pick up on these things subconsciously. We may not consciously understand it, some people may, but it's about understanding that everything is energy, everything is information. We're picking up on these different data streams all in the same moment. And when it comes to this holographic reality, what I want to share is that our beliefs, first off, let me just, I've got like this urge to put in my my little stick figure. Let's say that, if you could see this, this is us, and we perceive of our reality through our five senses, through what we consistently, what we believe to be true, and what we believe to be true reflects back to us our reality. And what we believe to be true, what we are able to do is to pick up on about 2 million bits of information out of the billions of information that's around us. We're only able to pick up on a small percentage of it. The reality that we experience is equal to our beliefs, and our beliefs filter in the reality that we perceive of, which selects in a way that selects the 2 million bits of information that is relevant to us in the moment. Now, that's what we perceive of in our reality. We perceive of reality through our five senses. Now, the reason I wanted to draw this little stick figure right here is to show you a little bit about what are called chakras. And one thing, just a side note real quick, one thing that I find fascinating with, this is the things I think about. When you look into reality itself, and this may sound kind of egotistical, but I think that everything begins with thought, and I think that in higher dimensional states of consciousness, when we're not in this 3D physical world, we create things based on thought. You could call this the causal plane of existence. This is something that, if you read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, he talks about meeting his guru. And his guru, after his guru passed away, his guru came to him and explained to him what it's like in the higher dimensions or in these different astral planes. And I found it very interesting. And the causal plane is kind of like the plane of ideas, understanding that everything is and starts with thought. And it's almost like if you were to think of something, it would instantly happen because you're not bound by time and space. And when we come to Earth, however, things are slowed down to a certain vibration so that we can perceive of a certain frequency rate. And what happens is when we look at certain things in reality, I love to see the deep symbolism in it. And I understand that it's the meaning I give it. However, you can find the meaning and the beauty in just about everything that you perceive of. The symbolism of a tree with roots inside the ground that keep it grounded. When you look at that of a rose, I have a rose bush in my backyard. They're not in bloom right now, just because of the time of year it is. But normally there's a rose bush that has a whole bunch of roses on it. And on that rose bush, there are thorns and then a beautiful red rose. And to me, that's beautiful because at a certain point, whatever we call this, consciousness, whether we call it God or whether we call it the universe, there was at some level some type of intention that was put in with that kind of deep meaning. The deep meaning, of course, that we're giving it, but the rose symbolizing the thorns on it, but yet how beautiful it is. I imagine that at higher dimensional states of consciousness, these are things that we put, and as almost a creative artist, we may put into the creation of some of the things in our reality, and we may not even know that deep symbolism. But I think when it comes to some of these things, whether we're talking about animals and maybe certain types of genetics, because I believe we're all a part of source energy, and at higher dimensional states of consciousness, we may put energy into these things to then want to see them in physical reality. Now, when we look at that, I believe that there may also be some type of fascination in higher dimensional states of consciousness with creating certain avatars in certain reality systems. Now, when I say avatars, what I mean is this body is an avatar. We may use the human species in this reality to perceive reality through the five senses. However, there may be different avatars as well that go beyond just what this looks like. However, one thing we may have set up with this kind of avatar that we use in this virtual reality, because we are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences, is within that we have that of a chakra system. We have a chakra system which are like wheels of energy through our energetic field that then go through our body, and each of these different chakras have different and correlate with different emotions and also different organs. So you have the root chakra, you have the sacral chakra, the willpower solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, the throat, the third eye, and that of the crown chakra. All of these chakras correlate with a certain part of our body, whether it's the root chakra with the base of the spine, the sacral chakra around the belly button, solar plexus around that of between the heart and the belly button, and then you got the heart, obviously, the throat, the third eye, the crown. These all correlate with this, and there's also different emotions that are related to it. Whereas the root chakra is related to survival mode, to sense of security, safety. Then you have that of sacral chakra, which is our relationships with our family, our relationships with ourselves, creativity. Then we have that of the solar plexus, which is that of the willpower, discipline, doing what you're passionate about. The heart, unconditional love. The throat, expression. The third eye, intuition. All of these correlate with different emotions and could be different phases in our life of certain things we're working towards. You can also see the imbalances that some people may go through if they have maybe a relationship imbalance. Their sacral chakra may be quote unquote like clogged or need to be balanced out. If someone's having power or not feeling powerful, they may have something going on in their solar plexus. Regardless of what I'm sharing right now, the reason I'm sharing it is that we can see that emotions correlate with different chakras. Chakras correlate with different parts of our body. Certain of these chakras, if you were to study Chinese medicine or acupuncture, these chakras would also relate to that of different organs in the body. So for example, if we find that we have a lot of root chakra issues, that may be correlated to problems with the colon, problems with different areas of our body. So then it's almost like these can be in a way mapped out, because in a way it's a holographic reality where if you think of a hologram, think of it like the whole hologram and the piece are the same. It's just there's many different of those little pieces that make up the whole. So in the same way, this energy system is within us, and then there's also this energy system within Earth. So it's macrocosm, microcosm, macrocosm. If you were to look to different parts of the planet and go online, you can see that there's different chakra points on the Earth, like Sedona, like Hawaii, like Machu Picchu, like I think there's one or two in India. There's one in England. There's one there's Mount Shasta. All these different chakra points on the earth are macrocosm, microcosm, because it's like we are the cells on planet Gaia. Now, another thing, I'm just going to kind of point our focus towards a couple different things that I've also kind of noticed. I don't see much literature on this, but it's just things that I noticed because I like to think about this kind of stuff. Now, when I was talking earlier, I was saying like in higher dimensional, like when we look at elephants, when we look at different animals, I think that there's some level of thought that is put behind that, and that we're all a piece of this source energy, and that it's almost like we forget who we are while we're here, but it's almost like we have this connection to all of these things, and we can see the deep symbolism in all of it if we choose to look for it. It's based on choice, and it depends on the person too. Everyone's going to have a different perception as to what these things mean. Some people may say it has no meaning whatsoever, which actually may be more accurate because it has no built-in meaning other than the meaning we give things like this. But that's kind of how I look into reality. I look around, I see things, and I think, wow, at a certain level of consciousness beyond the 3D avatar body, there was some beauty and some purpose in this, and it can have some meaning if we see it, whether it's a rose and the thorns on the rose, and then the rose itself of how beautiful it is and how divine it is, but how that divinity has the thorns which kind of correlate with the pain we may experience in life. And I'm completely aware that this may also just be my interpretation that barely anyone else shares when it comes to roses, but I think many people would say, you know, there's a song, every rose has its thorn. It's kind of similar. And I think that there's this deep symbolism. When you look at chakras, you can see different colors as well. You got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. These are all different colors that represent different rays. And if you study the law of one, which is channeled material back from the 70s, some of the most sought out and considered accurate information channeled material ever. Very interesting. It has to do with different rays of consciousness that we go through. And it talks a lot about that. Now, one other thing, when we talk about dimensions, we are right now moving out of a third dimensional state of consciousness and into that of a higher dimensional state of consciousness. You could say the 3D to 4 and 5D reality. And it's all here now. It's not any place that we're going. A dimension isn't necessarily a place. It's a state of consciousness. And when we look at this, I look at the sun. Is it, solar plexus, solar meaning sun. Our sun is yellow. It's now more of like a whitish, the way we perceive of it anyways. But yellow, the sun is yellow, which represents that of the solar plexus. Now, I believe that we have been in what is called the third dimensional state of consciousness. 3D dimensional state of consciousness has that to do with a feeling of separation, control, which is very interesting because it has to do with willpower, control, discipline. There's been a certain level of control on the planet, a certain level of willpower, a certain level of let's become successful. That seems to be a very big, strong point that people want to do. They want to get material wealth. And when we look at these different states of consciousness within our dimensional, when you look at that of the root chakra or the sacral chakra, these may be also characterized with different levels of consciousness within our animal and plant kingdom. In general, the first chakra, the root chakra, being grounded, many times is related to the elements itself. As far as the rate of vibration that it perceives of reality. It'd be like the elements itself. Then you have that of the sacral chakra, which also can represent the animals. And think about it, sacral chakra, many times, or when you think of relationships, many of us have a relationship with different types of animals. Not just ones we domesticate, but maybe we just see that maybe that's their experience of having a relationship with each other, whether it's in a hive or whatever it is for the animal. Then the 3D reality is that of what we are experiencing as 3D avatars, playing this game of separation. What we're moving into, though, is more of a 4D reality, which is understanding everything is vibration and understanding this connection we have to each one of us. We're just playing this illusion of separation. So being connected to our heart center. And this is a quote I've been saying for a while now, but I really believe it. The more we realize our life is a form of dream, the more dreamlike it becomes. When we need to attach to solidity and understanding every little thing, it creates such a seriousness of the ego. And it also creates a lot of resistance in general. But when we start to honor both sides of the equation, both the science and the spirituality, that's where the basis is. And if you study that of the law of one thing they talk about in the law of one, which is channeled material from the 70s and the 80s, is they say there's this thing in reality that is called the law of confusion. The law of confusion is that in reality, there has to be this level of confusion as to what is real, what is not real, or what is science or what is not science. Because if that wasn't there and we didn't have to have faith or we didn't have to have a trust in the divine, then it wouldn't add much value to the experience itself. So they talk about the law of confusion and how that's there to have us have faith, or there to have us to trust and to reach for more of these spiritual aspects of ourselves or the spiritual understanding versus just being caught up in that of the science. Everything is, if there's proof of, there's absolute proof of the astral realms and stuff. And maybe one day we do come across that through some type of technology. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that in this reality that we set up, one of the limitations we agreed to is that we would forget who we are, that we are eternal spiritual beings, and we would play the game as this ego avatar structure that then perceives reality through the belief system that it has this chakra system that we can choose to see. But what we can become aware of now is that this is all a form of dream. And yes, there may be meaning in it, but the truth is, when it comes to these are models or a way for seeing the world that then can allow us a practicality towards moving up these chakras. By knowing the chakras, there is a level of awareness that can help us understand. If we understand there's certain blocks in certain chakras and that correlates to certain emotions, and you're trying to figure out why you have certain health issues, it may help to then heal those emotions and then heal the body as well. A lot of times when people find out they have some disease or whatever it is, they then work on healing themselves emotionally. A lot of times that emotion will then trickle into the body itself. Many, many times it does. And when people heal themselves emotionally, then it also heals them physically. Happens a lot. So when we look at this in reality, understand that reality is a virtual reality that we live in. We are eternal spiritual beings dreaming that we are humans. We experience reality the way that we do. We pick up on the 2 million bits of information that we perceive of. And then that is the reality that is reflecting back to us. And what you also notice is that we have these models, the chakras that are also correlated to that of the reality that we live in. Different chakras at parts in our body. There's different chakras on the planet. Then you could look at that from a dimensional point of view of different things we are working through. We are now moving from the 3D level of reality into a 4 and 5D level of reality. But mainly I would say heart is the main thing we can stay focused on, is being more in our heart center. When we are more in our heart center, we perceive of things more in alignment with our soul, with who we really are, versus our mind and the ego that likes to feel separated. So the truth is, about this whole process, is the best way you learn this is through experience. Heal your chakras. Our chakras are generating energy. That's what they do. So it's not that we are going to get out of our third chakra and into our fourth chakra. It's that we're going to balance and allow the flow to come through. We're going to balance and allow the flow to come through so that we can raise up in vibration. And when we understand that there is this greater perspective, like everything that I'm sharing in this video, the main idea that I would like to kind of intrigue you and help you see things from, present an idea to you that there's more than this physical reality. And that at higher dimensional states of consciousness, we may feel creative enough to help facilitate some of the things that are in our reality, the deep symbolism and the way that our reality is architected. And there may be intention there. There may be a reason there's this deep connection between Earth herself and us, and how we are cells on planet Earth, and how when we heal ourselves, we also put out a new energy field that heals other people, or that people can match the frequency to. You see, when we start to see that there's more to life than what we priorly thought, we then start to embody things beyond what we priorly were giving so much importance over to. When we expand our awareness, we can then look at ourselves in a new way. We can see our 3D avatar body for what it is instead of reacting as it, instead of reacting as the victim or reacting as the thoughts and thinking we are our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. We think thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. And the more we become aware of these possibilities, the more we then tap into the larger scope of who we are. So the way you could tap into this is by doing your own inner work and starting to see reality as more like a dream. That's what I'll leave it as today. See reality more like a dream. At least open yourself up to it, because the more you let go of needing to understand everything, the science behind everything, it's important. It is important, and I love studying that. However, start to open yourself up to more of who you are, more of, and just seeing how your beliefs are creating your reality, how your beliefs are limiting what you perceive of and the biases you may have. And when you see everything as a belief system, it makes it easier. However, everything is a belief system, so that's the trap in itself as well, because we sometimes aren't aware of that. So anyways, that's the key to this video, is expand yourself, start to see yourself in the 3D avatar body, knowing you're a divine being, pretending to be this little spirit, this little ego, but you're so much more than you can even imagine. So if you want a meditation that will help you to raise your vibration, in the top of the description box below, you will see one. Also, I'll be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. If you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, you'll see that right here. I post twice a day there, now 3 times a day actually. Plus, I do daily videos or Instagram lives there quite often, so you can check me out there as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the little notification gear so you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.